welcome to Ice Dance Rewind. I'm Mel.
And I'm Daphne.
And we're so glad to have you join us as we share a few programs that we love. It's been a little while since our first episode, so if you're joining us for the first time or need a refresher, on Ice Dance Rewind, we pick a few older programs to analyze and discuss. We hope that newer fans can discover more of the sport's history and more seasoned fans can revisit some old gems.
Absolutely. We thought that with this episode, we would celebrate fall, my favorite season, and Halloween by going with a spooky theme for this episode.
Yeah, the spooky theme is a little less natural for me. When I think of fall, I think flannels and cider and pumpkin everything except not in my coffee. And the only Halloween movie I usually watch is It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. But Daphne, you are all about the spooky things.
Yes, I am. I will own that. I love The Walking Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Halloween, Friday the 13th, the original Wicker Man. They're all my favorites. I just love all things spooky. And my love of scary things go back to when I was 12. I remember being really scared of horror movies, and so I didn't rent very many of them. And then my mom shared this behind the scenes video of how one of them was made, and that changed everything. That's all I wanted to watch. I was hooked. And I feel like she probably at this point wishes she had never done that, because I have just become such a fan of that genre. And still to this day, it's my favorite type of movie to watch at any time of the year, not just Halloween.
Kind of like how my mom showed me figure skating for the first time when I was a kid and probably wished that she never had.
Yeah, I can relate to that. My mom did the same for me.
So I'm probably never going to be a horror movie fan, but I really do enjoy all of the programs that we picked for today's episode. There are definitely less traditional choices, more dramatic, and I love seeing the attack that the teams have in these programs. So we're going to start with a junior short dance from the 2012-2013 season. We first saw Lorraine McNamara and Quinn Carpenter skate their Zombies program at the Lake Placid Ice Dance Championships. Daphne, this program was your pick. Do you remember that first performance?
You know, I do. I remember I was a fan of Ramalama Bang Bang by Roisin Murphy even before they skated this program. And I remember, I think there was a dance on So You Think You Can Dance that was really cool. And I also remember Zoe Blanc and Pierre-Luc Bouquet also skated to a Ramalama program. I think it was 2009, 2010. Lorraine and Quinn brought a fun take, which is kind of more in the spooky sense, like we saw on So You Think You Can Dance.
All right, let's take a look.
All right. Was so animated in this program.
Yeah, I love the way that they really attack the elements, starting with their footwork right off the bat.
Yeah.
And they have really good characterization, even though this is early in the season.
Yes, I believe this was the first JGP of the season, which Courchevel usually is. I just just remember Lorraine's expression. I mean, she just really, really sold this program so well. And they made like the intricate movements that matched the theme of the program. They just made it, they just really represented it well.
Yeah, this was pretty early on for the short dance too, so it's nice seeing the pattern being woven in pretty cohesively.
Yes, definitely. And this, of course, Mel, what was this pattern that was woven in?
Blues.
Your favorite.
My favorite.
Of course, the German team of Zaganshina and Gazi also chose this music and theme this year, but we were treated to Lorraine and Quinn's much earlier in the season as they were a junior team.
All right. It was really fun to see that program again. As you mentioned, Zaganshina and Gazi also did the same music and theme that year in seniors. Some other zombie programs to that song include Pear's team, Shen and Zhao, had an Stars and Ice program. And I remember a young sibling team in Canada, the Botsfords, that had a free dance to it sometime around 2009, I think. And
I remember,
of course,
I remember that. I remember the photos from that.
yes. It was a lot of fun to see that program then, because I was just starting to get more into following ice dance at all the levels. And that was one program that really stood out from something like a 9-hour day of pre-novice and novice dance at Challenge that year.
Yes, that could make a very long day. It reminds me of Lake Placid. We start very early, we end very late. Although in later years, they definitely have condensed the schedule into something that is more workable. And also with compulsories, now pattern dances only being skated at the lower levels, it's not so intense with all those different groups of pattern dances.
Right. But yeah, it was great seeing Lorraine and Quinn as youngsters take on this theme during a blues short dance year. It felt fresh. It was fun, but age appropriate. And you don't always get age appropriate junior programs in a blues year.
No, sometimes it gets a bit over the top. And this one still sticks out when we were talking about doing this Halloween themed show. This was one that I wanted to highlight right away because I just enjoy it. And I still enjoy watching it to this day.
Definitely. It was interesting reading some of the comments about Lorraine and her new partnership at Skate America last week, and people saying that they didn't remember seeing her so animated before. And I was kind of like, have you seen the zombies? So maybe this program is new to a few people and it's exciting to share it.
Absolutely. They also, Lorraine and Quinn, during their younger years at like the juvenile intermediate levels, they had some really fun programs where she was quite animated, and they really sold those themed programs really well.
Yeah, definitely. They had, I think in the past few years at senior, they wanted to show a more mature side to prove that they belonged at the senior level, which is understandable. I think a lot of teams want to do that when they reach that transition, but over the course of their entire career, they really showed a lot of variety in their programs, and we will definitely miss them together, but we wish them well.
Absolutely. They did show a lot of range throughout the years of their partnership, and I'm so glad that I had so many opportunities to watch them skate over the years, right from the time they were at the juvenile level all the way up to senior. So it was really a joy to get to kind of watch them grow up over their career, and definitely wish them both the best in their future. And Lorraine is, of course, skating in a new partnership and with Anton Spurdenov, and Quinn, I believe, is going to focus on outside skating endeavors. So I think it's a great time to move on to your pick, Melanie.
Yes.
Which you have chosen, Yana Hoklova and Sergei Novitsky's free dance from the 2007-2008 season, which is also one of my favorites. What made you pick this one?
I love how unapologetically over the top they were in this program, and in some of their programs over their career, definitely. But I feel like this is really a trademark piece for them. They used two classical pieces, Night on Bald Mountain and In the Hall of the Mountain King. And Night on Bald Mountain used to give me nightmares because it was the spooky final piece in Fantasia. So I thought it fit with the theme for our episode. It took me a long time to come around to Night on Bald Mountain, I think until I was in university. And I started out as a music major in school. And so I was, I took a lot of music history courses. And I remember that this was one of the assigned pieces that I had to listen to and analyze. And I was kind of still had this like bias against it. I thought I didn't like it at all. And I was kind of dreading getting to that program or to that unit in our textbook, I guess. But I really like this piece of music. And I guess the program itself isn't terribly spooky, but it is dramatic and explosive.
Have to agree. Do you remember the first time you saw this program?
I definitely do. I was watching the coverage of Trophée Eric Bompard in fall 2007. I remember I was watching it after the fact, but then again, I guess most of our coverage in 2007 was after the fact. So it was probably taped on a VHS, and I definitely had very specific ice dance tastes at the time. So I was just starting to kind of expand what I expected from ice dance and what I liked about ice dance. So I wasn't really expecting to enjoy this dramatic, very Russian piece that had beat Delabelle and Schoenfelder in the free. But I remember watching it, and I remember the exact moment that I was all in on this program. So I will point that out when we get to it.
Excellent. I look forward.
За дорожку они еще плюс ко всему минус 2 балла получили. Ну, естественно, за падение. И еще минус балл за падение.
Со своим прекрасным произвольным танцем. Давайте мы не будем ни вам мешать, ни себе, я только иногда буду...
The costumes, I mean, look at the costumes already. Those are serious.
Я желаю им ни пуха, ни
Serious
пера,
costumes.
сама пошла к черту.
Yeah. She's like a sparkly spider, and he's a cobweb? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Really fantastic lift, especially for 2008. We were just starting to get those acrobatic, stand on your partner's legs, flip over kind of lifts, and they did it very well.
They did. It was very seamless. notice the back of his costume has this, what looks like skeleton bones. His backbone. Oh my goodness.
Definitely a lot more fussy than the men's costumes we see today.
Yes. They always made these cool shapes with their bodies when they were doing any of the movements. And I appreciated that.
Yeah, that move right on the transition of the music was really wonderful. And it, I mean, when you think about it, it's not something that gets points.
No.
So I appreciated that they spent the energy doing interesting choreography just for the sake of choreography.
Jana Hoklova was well known for being super flexible.
Yes. Watching this section makes me so wish that I had photographed this program, but I never did.
I know, me either.
And this is
Right
it,
there. Oh my
the
god.
bicycle legs.
Is that when you were
I
all in?
remember- Yes, I remember my jaw dropping. It was so wiggity whack, but it fit the music and it fit the program perfectly. Yes, like
Love
grabbing
that.
her out of a Beelman and doing rotation.
Браво!
You know, I remember them so well, and it was such a shame that they had to retire. I know she did try to continue on with a new partner, but it's too bad.
Yeah, I
But-
think, was it injuries to him, I think?
Yes. So they retired probably before what would have been the end of their career. They probably had a few more years left and were not able to continue due to his injuries. So for me, though, this was their signature program. I remember reading a lot of the fan comments throughout the season, and there were many that said the same thing, that this program really was such a highlight. And if you were lucky to see it in person, please mention it in the comments, because neither one of us got to see it in person, and we would have loved to. And it has this horror vibe while being intense and animated. And I feel like Nowitzki in particular, he was all in on this program right from start to finish. And the two of them together were just wonderful.
Yeah, this was, this was their best season. They hung on to a bronze medal at Worlds, beating out Belbin and Augusto, who also had a great free dance that year. Very different. That was their Chopin free dance.
Yes.
But they beat them by just a quarter of a point. And even despite some technical issues in the World's performance, but the strength of their lifts. I mentioned during the program that this was really when we started getting bigger lifts in ice dance. Right around 2008 was the transition. And then you also had the younger teams that had skated junior when the international judging system had started, and they had an advantage to kind of how the way programs were constructed and scored. And so the older teams were just kind of hanging on, and it was kind of a weird quad with a lot of changes. And up until this point in ice dance, there weren't many changes during each quad.
No, I feel like it was around the 2007, maybe 2006, 2007, 2007, 2008 seasons that we started to see this new energy that was coming in with all of these younger teams that had grown up in the system. And they were breaking through much earlier. They were having debuts that were so much higher. Usually you would get a team that would debut like in 12th or 13th place at their first Worlds, and that was a great accomplishment.
Right.
But then teams were starting to debut inside the top 10, and it just started continuing from there, where things were just a little more unpredictable. And I kind of liked that. I thought that was cool, but I did feel for those teams that were near the end of their careers and had not had as much time in that system, because it was, to me, it looked like it was a bit more difficult for some of them.
Right. And I think that Koklova and Novitsky had that natural advantage because they had her flexibility. Some of the other older teams, the woman wasn't as flexible because that wasn't as important in ice dance before 2006. And so, she could hit all the positions. She could get the difficult positions in the list for the levels. They were great at the transitions from the up high to the down low. And
yeah, definitely.
They were able to come up with really unique things like the bicycle legs lift,
yes,
which is what I always called it. And it makes the program for me. Of course, there are other excellent highlights, but when I thought about which program I wanted to pick for this episode, bicycle legs was what popped into my mind. And it's still memorable, even after more than a decade.
And that is what this is all about, memorable programs.
The ones that we want to watch again and again.
And again and again. Speaking of which, the next program is one that Melanie and I, we both remember it quite fondly, and we've talked about it from time to time. And it's a little more recent than the last two that we've shown you.
Yes, and we thought it would be a perfect way to close out our Halloween episode.
Definitely. This free dance is from the 2014-15 season. It is skated by Anastasia Canuccio and Colin McManus. This is a program that they performed very well throughout the season. It has a story that's a bit darker than what we usually see in competitive dance. And for them, it was a bit darker.
Yeah.
Especially. They also were a team that shifted from different genres of music and performance styles, as well as music choices. So this particular program, though, is them portraying a couple that has come back to life from the dead to dance with each other. I remember seeing this in Lake Placid. I loved it immediately. And if I remember correctly, we were lucky enough to watch it with Colin's parents were sitting around us. And so it was really cool to kind of have that interaction after to talk about it. And I know that I have many cool photos from this program.
Yes.
I was lucky enough to get to shoot it a couple of times.
Yes. The music is Dance Macabre and Transylvanian Lullaby. I think this program was a natural favorite for me because Dance Macabre has always been one of my favorite pieces of music. And it's one that I always want to listen to in the fall. I guess because it does have a spooky story behind it. And of course, Yuna Kim had a wonderful program to this music, but we don't see it a lot in ice dance, despite it being a dance or dance.
Exactly.
So I was thrilled to see such a well choreographed program to it. And I love that this program it's not just meant to be a program, it's meant to be a dance. And I thought that came across in their choreography. So let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
Не так много, кстати. 1 балл и 23 сотых.
Of that from practice and performance.
Like the placement of the elements with the music in this dance. This footwork starts right on a new phrase. And it's amazing that that doesn't always happen in ice dance.
No.
It ends right on the phrase of the music too.
Colin and Anastasia, their programs, a lot of their programs, everything was nuanced to music and the starting and end time for elements. They really paid close attention to that.
Bargain Outlet banner in the background.
So strong, so sturdy there.
Changes back to Danse Macabre, and I just love the whole last minute of this programming. It just builds perfectly.
Twizzles.
This element placement is just perfect with the music.
And at a time when you should be slowing down or you think you should slow down, they speed up and go even faster.
Right.
I love this little nuance at the end.
Oh, I just love that program. It is so risky to save the twizzles for the end of the free dance, but the music just demands for the twizzles to be placed exactly where they were, with the violin's descending chromatic passage. That is one of the most recognizable parts of this piece of music, and I love that they went for that, even with the risk. And as I said while we were watching, the whole last section is just really impactful and musical, especially the ending. It's so hard to get those last little beats of the music at the end right, because there's kind of the pause before the very short last phrase of music, and I don't think they ever missed it in that season.
They didn't. This was probably the program over their career that they consistently performed the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that throughout the season, they really worked to add not only, additional nuances in the performance elements, but expression. And towards the end of the season, they did spend some time with Johnny Weir to work on building the characters and give it kind of a star quality. And I think Colin said it even helped them make it a little more creepy. And I remember that at Nationals, they were wearing makeup. Like there was this specific makeup, and maybe I'll pop a photo in here so you can see a close-up of what the makeup was, but it all added to a wonderful performance.
Yeah, it's a fine line with how much makeup you can get away with in the rules, and I think they brought it right to that line later in the season.
Yes,
but if you're going to
definitely.
take that risk, probably Nationals is the place to do it.
Absolutely. Leave it all out there.
Yeah, I think this was around the time that they started looking outside of their usual bubble.
Yes.
Training in Delaware, they were often the most experienced team in their group, or I think almost always, at least when they were seniors, they were the highest ranked team in their group. And I do want to mention that the program was choreographed by their coaches, Karen Liddington and Alexander Kirsanov. But they also spent time working with Dubran Lazon in the summer before the season. And, you mentioned Johnny Weir. I think they, sometimes when you have a bunch of outside influences, it's hard to know which parts to listen to, and you get something that can be disjointed. But I think that everything just fell into place with this program.
I agree. And you mentioned Dubray and Lauzon. Colin and Anastasia were actually the first team that went up and worked with them before some of the others actually made permanent coaching changes and went there. But Colin and Anastasia, I think their work in Montreal really helped shape them that season and push them for the following couple of seasons that they skated together before retiring, because there was something different when they came back from working up there. And they were only up there for a couple of months in the summer, I believe. And when they came to Lake Placid with this performance, this program, it really showed that there had been some hard work and effort put in. And the music is fantastic.
Right. And now I found it interesting. Colin is doing quite a bit of choreography now. And so he choreographed to Joseph Kang, who skated at Skate America last week. And he had a Saint-Saëns free skate that included Danse Macabre. So I guess the music still inspires him.
Well, it's great music. I think we both agree on that. We'd like to see it a little more in ice dance. Maybe next season.
Anyone, please listen. I do also want to recognize that Canadians Tara Harvey and Keith Gagnon had a great short dance to Danse Macabre. They used it for a creepy golden waltz, very non-traditional, in the 2010-11 season. And I really wanted to include that program in the episode because I think it's a hidden gem, but I couldn't find a video. So I guess there are a few things that are not on the internet after all.
We really need that archive, and I feel like YouTube tries to be that archive, except when it's not.
Right. We need like a ice dance curator for the archive. I would volunteer, but I need access to all the videos that exist.
I do remember Tara and Keith's program. I remember it from Lake Placid. That's, I believe, where it debuted, at least in the US. That's where I saw it. Loved it. Just so, they just captured the mood so well in the performance. And I think with Dance Macabre, you really have to be the right team to skate to it, because you have to capture a mood. It's, it's more than skating to the music. It's capturing a mood of the music as well, and really diving in for it to be successful. And yeah, would be such a dream, wouldn't it, if we could get that archive together?
Yes.
Well, until then, we will keep trying to find the best programs to share with you all on our trips through ice dance history. We'll try not to take such a long break in between episodes 2 and 3.
Yes. I think it always inspires me when I have a theme. Without a theme, it's hard to just pick programs out of the vast history. So we hope you enjoyed this themed episode of Spooky Programs. If you want to help support the volunteer efforts at icedance.com for projects like Ice Dance Rewind and continued event coverage and articles, our PayPal and Patreon links are below.
And if you have ideas for us to take our Ice Dance Rewind show in a direction with themes, please put them in the comments below so that we can see what you guys might like to see, and we'll pull some of our favorite programs from those themes.
Yeah, that would be great.
And with that, we'd like to thank you for watching. And with that, thanks for watching another episode of Ice Dance Rewind. We'll be back with episode 3 at some point in the near future.
Thank you.